Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Cosmos. Tonight, we are going to lie back and ask a question so simple that most of us have never once thought to ask it, and yet so strange that the moment you turn it over in your mind, it opens outward like a door onto an enormous, quiet room. The question is this: what is directly above the sun, and what is directly below it? We say the sun rises and the sun sets. We say the sun climbs high at noon and sinks low at evening. We speak, without thinking, as though the sun has an up and a down, a top and a bottom, a ceiling somewhere over its bright head and a floor somewhere beneath its feet. And tonight we are going to follow that gentle assumption all the way out into space and watch it dissolve, slowly and safely, into something far more restful than any floor or ceiling could ever be. Because here is the tender secret waiting for us at the end of this question. The sun has no above. The sun has no below. And neither, it turns out, do you. Out there, in the wide dark that holds the sun, there is no ceiling pressing down and no floor holding up. There is only one open expanse, one seamless room without corners that reaches away in every direction at once and simply holds whatever is inside it. Tonight, we are going to sink into that expanse together and let it hold us the way it holds the sun, without effort, without edges, without any need to know which way is up. We will wander slowly through 4 wide themes as we go, in no hurry to arrive anywhere. We will ask what above and below even mean once you leave the ground behind, and we will watch those words come loose and float away. We will meet the great disk of the sun's family, the flat spinning platter of planets, and ask what lies off the top of it and off the bottom of it. We will drift up out of that disk entirely, up through the thin high reaches of the galaxy, and down through them too, and find the same faint nothing waiting on both sides. And we will follow the long history of the people who first looked up and tried to draw a map of the heavens, and learned, one patient discovery at a time, that the map has no top and no bottom at all. If you find this restful, a like or a subscribe helps the channel reach others who are also lying awake tonight, others who are also staring at a dark ceiling and wishing their thoughts would slow down and settle. But that is a small thing, and it can wait until morning or forever. None of this is anything you need to hold on to. You do not need to remember a single word. You do not need to follow the science or keep the facts in order. You do not need to stay awake to reach the end. This is not a lesson you have to pass. It is only a long, low voice in the dark, laying one quiet idea after another over you like warm blankets. And if you drift off somewhere in the middle, that is exactly what this was made for. So, settle in. Let your shoulders ease down, away from your ears, down toward the bed. Let your jaw unclench. Let the small muscles around your eyes go loose and heavy. Feel the weight of your body sinking into whatever holds you tonight, the mattress accepting your shape, the pillow taking the weight of your head so your neck no longer has to. There is nothing above you that you must reach for. There is nothing below you that you must brace against. There is only this quiet room, and this slow voice, and the wide dark sky we are about to wander into together. Let's begin. Let's begin then where everyone begins, with the ground under your feet and the sky over your head. For as long as there have been people, this has been the shape of the world. Down is where you fall. Up is where the birds go. Down is heavy, solid, dependable. The place where your weight always wants to travel. Up is light and open and free. The direction of smoke and breath, and the slow climb of the sun each morning. You learned this before you could speak. You learned it as an infant, watching a dropped spoon fall away from your hand and clatter onto the floor, learning in your bones that the world has a floor, that things come to rest below, that there is a bottom to everything if you only let go and wait. And you learned that above you there was more sky than you could ever measure, a blue bowl in the day and a black one at night, always over your head, always the roof of the world. This is the deepest map any of us carries. Above and below, sky and ground. And it works. It works perfectly, here, standing on this one small planet, that this map should feel like the truest thing in the world. But tonight, we are going to lift ourselves off that planet, gently, in our minds, and carry the map with us, and watch what happens to it when there is no longer any ground to point it. Watch what happens to up when there is nothing beneath you. Watch what happens to down when there is nothing overhead. It does not break. It does not fail you or leave you falling. It simply softens and opens and becomes something wider. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. For now, just rest in the old map, the child's map, the one your body still believes. There is ground below you, holding you. There is sky above you, letting you breathe. Let that be true a little longer. Let it be the last thing we take for granted before we set it down. Now lift your gaze, in your imagination, from the ground to the sun itself. Picture it the way you have seen it 1,000 times, a warm coin of light hanging in the sky, so bright you cannot look at it directly, so present that it warms your skin from 93 million miles away. And ask the question again, but ask it now of the sun and not of yourself. When the sun is high overhead at noon, what is above it? And when the sun sinks toward the horizon at dusk, what is below it? Here is where the old map begins its first small stumble, because you already sense something is wrong with the question. The sun does not really climb and sink. It only seems to, because you are standing on a slowly turning ball, and it is the ground beneath you that is tipping and rolling, carrying your whole town up toward the light in the morning and rolling it away into shadow at night. The sun has not moved at all. It hangs where it hangs, and it is your own horizon that rises to meet it and falls away from it, over and over. A full turn every day, so smooth and so steady that you feel none of it. You are the one who moves. You are the one who is carried up into the morning and lowered into the evening, spun through the light and the dark on the surface of a turning world, while the sun simply waits, patient and unmoving, pouring out its steady warmth. So when you ask what is above the sun and what is below it, you are really asking your own dizzy, spinning question from the deck of a ship that never stops turning. And the sun, if it could answer, would ask you gently in return, above according to whom, below according to when. There is no wrong here, and nothing to fear in it. It is only the first soft loosening of a knot you did not know you were holding. Let it loosen. Let the question grow a little stranger and a little kinder as we go. Consider, next, that the sun does have a top and a bottom of its own, of a kind, though not the kind the old map means. The sun spins, as all things in the heavens spin, turning slowly on an axis the way a top turns or a wheel turns. And any spinning thing has two special points, the two places where the axis comes out, the still points at the ends of the turning. On the Earth we call these the poles, the North Pole and the South Pole, the two quiet spots where the spinning is slowest and the ground barely moves at all. The sun has these too. It has a North Pole and a South Pole of its own, two places on its vast burning surface where its slow rotation gathers to a still point. And you might think, there, at last, is the top of the sun and the bottom of the sun, its own true above and below, fixed to its own turning. But even this is softer than it sounds. The sun's poles are not up, and they are not down. They are only the ends of its spin, and its spin is tilted this way and that against the great disk of the planets, leaning at a quiet angle all its own. To call one pole the top and one the bottom, you would have to decide, first, which way is up in all the empty room around it, and that is exactly the thing that has no answer out there. The sun's north pole points toward one patch of distant stars. Its south pole points toward another. Neither patch is higher than the other. Neither is the ceiling, and neither is the floor. They are simply two directions, two ways of facing, in a room with no walls to face. And so even the sun's own top and bottom turn out to be gentle fictions, useful names we give to the ends of a spin, floating in a space that has no preference at all for which end we call up. Rest in that for a moment. Even the sun does not know which of its poles points up. It has never needed to know. It simply turns and shines and is held. Let us go further out now and meet the great flat family of the sun, the wheeling disk of worlds that turns around it. Because when people first tried to answer where above and below might be in the sky, they noticed something beautiful and steadying. The planets do not scatter randomly across the heavens. They follow a road. Night after night, year after year, the sun and the moon and the wandering planets all trace nearly the same narrow path across the stars, a single band around the sky, as though they were beads threaded on one string. And this is no accident of the eye. It is because the sun's whole family is flat. The planets do not orbit the sun in a great sphere, buzzing about it in every direction like bees around a hive. They orbit almost all in one plane, one wide level platter, a spinning disk of worlds nearly as flat as a dinner plate for all its enormous size. The Earth rides this plate. So does every planet you have ever heard named. They go around and around the sun in nearly the same level sweep, so that if you could pull far, far back and look at the whole arrangement from a great distance, you would see something like a record spinning slowly on a turntable. The sun a bright bead at the center. The planets circling out along the flat black disk. All of them turning the same way, all of them lying in nearly the same level plane. And once you see that, the old question comes back changed and gentler. If the sun's family is a flat disk, then perhaps there is an above the disk and a below the disk after all. Perhaps there is a face of the platter that we could call the top, and a face that we could call the bottom, and off each face a direction that leads up and away, or down and away, out of the plane of all the circling worlds. This is closer to a real answer than anything we have found yet. It is a top and a bottom you could actually point to. And so let us follow it, off the top of the disk first, and then off the bottom, and see what waits in each direction. But feel, as we go, how far we have already drifted from the child's map. The above we are chasing now is not over your head at all. It is off the flat plane of the planets, in a direction your body has never once faced. And still, it holds no danger. It is only more room. So rise now in your mind off the top face of that spinning plate. Lift straight up out of the plane of the planets, up away from the level road that the sun and moon and worlds all travel, up in the one direction that no planet's orbit leads. This is the true above of the sun, if it has one. The direction that stands square to the whole flat family, pointing off the top of the platter into open space. And as you rise, watch what falls away beneath you. The planets grow small and then vanish. The bright coin of the sun shrinks to a single warm point among the dark. The flat disk you rose out of thins to a faint line, and then to nothing at all, swallowed by distance. And ahead of you, above you, in the direction you are climbing, there is only the deep field of the stars, scattered thin and far, and beyond them more stars, and beyond those the faint dust of galaxies, so distant their light has been traveling toward you since before the sun was born. There is no ceiling here. You keep rising and you never strike a roof. You keep climbing and nothing stops you. Nothing presses back. Nothing marks a limit or an edge or an end. The above of the sun is not a place you arrive at. It is a direction you can travel forever, opening always into more room, more darkness dark as velvet, more distant fires burning low and patient in the dark. And this is the first taste of the thing we came here to feel. Above, out here, is not a wall over your head. It is an endless welcome. It is a room so large it has forgotten how to have a ceiling, and it lets you rise and rise into it, and asks nothing of you, and never once lets you fall. Rest there a moment, high above the flat plane of the worlds, held in the dark, with nothing above you but more gentle room. You are not falling. You are only floating, farther up than any floor could reach, and perfectly, perfectly held. And now let yourself sink the other way, back down through the plane of the planets, and out the bottom face of the disk, into the below of the sun. And here is the tender heart of the whole question, the thing that turns it from a riddle into a comfort. When you sink out the bottom of the sun's family and look around you, it is exactly the same as the top. There is no difference at all. Below the disk there are the same thin scattered stars as above it. There is the same deep soft dark, the same distant dust of galaxies, the same open room reaching away without any floor to stop you. If someone spun you around out there, slowly, in the dark, until you no longer knew which way you had come from, you could not tell the above of the sun from its below. They are twins. They are mirrors. They are two names for one single expanse that wraps the whole flat family and holds it from every side at once. And so the great question we began with, what is above the sun and what is below it, has quietly answered itself. And the answer is the most restful one imaginable. The same thing is above and below. The same open dark, the same scattered stars, the same endless welcoming room, above and below and all around, with no ceiling and no floor. Only one seamless expanse that holds the sun the way a serene lake holds a single floating leaf, evenly, softly, from every direction, with no up and no down anywhere in it at all. This is the sky with no ceiling and no floor. This is the room we came here to rest in, and we have only just arrived at its edge. Let us slow down here and wander back in time, because the people who first found this out did not find it all at once, and there is a great tenderness in how slowly it came to them. For most of human history, everyone believed the old child's map with their whole heart. They believed the earth sat still at the bottom of everything, the heaviest thing, the true floor of the world, and that the sky turned above it like a great domed lid studded with lights. Up was toward the heavens, where things were pure and bright and everlasting. Down was toward the earth, where things were heavy and changing and bound to fall. This was not foolishness. It was exactly what their eyes told them, night after night, as the whole bowl of stars wheeled slowly overhead, and the solid ground never once trembled beneath them. They watched the sun climb and sink. They watched the stars turn around a single still point in the north, as though the whole sky hung from a nail hammered into the ceiling of the world. And they drew their maps accordingly, with the earth low and heavy at the center, and shell after shell of turning heaven stacked above it, sphere within sphere, all the way up to the highest sky where the fixed stars burned. It was a beautiful map, and an orderly one, and it gave people a place to stand. There was a floor beneath them, and a ceiling of stars above them, and everything had its level and its home. And then, slowly, over many lifetimes, a few patient watchers began to notice the small places where the beautiful map did not quite fit. They noticed that the wandering planets sometimes seemed to slow and stop and drift backward against the stars for a while, before turning and going forward again, a strange little loop that a simple turning lid should never make. They noticed that the sun's path through the year was not perfectly even, that it lingered a little in some seasons and hurried in others. These were tiny cracks, faint puzzles, the kind of thing you could almost overlook. But there were people who could not overlook them. People who lay awake, we might imagine, turning the small wrongness over and over, the way you turn a worry in the dark, unable to let it rest until it made sense. And one of them, a quiet thinker who spent years watching and calculating, dared at last to move the floor. He proposed that the earth was not the still center of everything after all. He proposed that the earth itself was moving, circling the sun along with the other planets, and that all the climbing and sinking and looping we saw in the sky was really the reflection of our own motion, the wheeling of our own moving deck. It was a frightening idea to many, because it pulled the floor out from under the world. If the earth moved, then there was no still center, no fixed bottom to everything, no heavy floor at the base of creation. But it was also, though few felt it then, an enormous gift. Because once the earth began to move, the ceiling and the floor of the old world began, ever so slowly, to dissolve. Others took up the work and carried it further, each adding a patient stone to the wall. One built better and better instruments and measured the sky more finely than anyone before, night after night in the cold, filling book after book with numbers. Another took those numbers and found in them the true shape of the planet's paths, not perfect circles after all, but gentle ovals, each world sweeping around the sun along its own serene ellipse. Another turned a small new tube of glass toward the heavens and saw, for the first time, that the planets were not points of light, but worlds. Round worlds with their own moons circling them, little families within the family, and that the pale band of the night was made of more stars than anyone could ever count. And with each of these discoveries, the old dome of the sky opened wider and grew deeper, until it was no longer a lid at all, but a vast open room, and the stars were no longer lamps hung on a ceiling, but suns of their own, scattered out through a depth that had no measured bottom. The heavens stopped being a roof over the earth. They became a space the earth was floating in, and the more clearly people saw this, the more the words above and below loosened their grip, until at last the thinkers understood what we have been feeling our way toward all night, that in the great space around the sun there is no true up and no true down, no floor beneath and no ceiling over, only directions, only room, only one seamless expanse that holds every star and world alike. It took thousands of years and many patient, wakeful lives to learn what we can now simply lie back and let wash over us. There is no ceiling. There is no floor. There never was. And that turns out to be the most restful news the sky has ever given us. Let the history settle now, and come back to your own body for a while, resting here in the dark, because there is something you already know in your muscles and your bones that the old thinkers had to learn the hard way, and it is this: you have felt the floor dissolve, and it did not hurt you. Every night, as you fall asleep, the floor of the waking world lets go of you a little. The heavy sense of up and down that you carry all day. The constant quiet work of knowing which way is the ground and holding yourself against it begins to loosen as you drift toward sleep. That small lurch you sometimes feel just as you are going under, that soft falling sensation, is only your body setting down the map, letting go of up and down for the night, the way a swimmer lets go of the pool's edge and floats out into the deep water. It is not danger, it is release. And out there around the sun, in the wide expanse with no ceiling and no floor, that release is not a passing feeling, but the permanent, gentle truth of the place. Nothing is holding itself up against a floor. Nothing is bracing beneath a ceiling. The planets are not falling, though there is nothing under them. The sun is not falling, though there is nothing beneath it. They are only floating, held in their slow circles by the faint invisible pull between them, drifting in a room so open that falling has lost all meaning. To fall, you need a floor to fall toward. And there is no floor. So there is no falling. There is only the long, level, endless drift, and you are learning, night after night, to trust it, the same way the sun trusts it, the same way every star trusts it, resting in the dark without any ground at all, and perfectly safe. So let yourself drift there now, in earnest, out into the expanse above and below the sun, and let me carry you, because you do not have to do any of the traveling yourself. Imagine that you have risen off your bed, ever so slowly, the way a leaf lifts off still water, and that you are floating up through the ceiling of your room without feeling it, up through the roof of your house, up through the layers of the night air. Imagine the cool, thinning air giving way to the edge of space, and the edge of space giving way to the open dark, and all the while you are not straining, not climbing, not working at all. You are being carried. Something patient and enormous has taken your weight, the way the water takes a swimmer who stops swimming and simply lies back and floats. You do not have to hold your head up. You do not have to keep your balance. There is no balance to keep, because there is no down to fall toward and no up to reach for. There is only the drift, and you are inside it now, turning so slowly you can barely tell you are turning, rising so smoothly you cannot feel the rising, carried out and away from the small warm ball of the earth into the wide expanse that holds the sun. Below you, if it is below, the earth grows small and blue and lovely. Above you, if it is above, the stars wait, thick and faint and patient, and around you, on every side, the same hushed dark, the same open room, holding you evenly, without any effort, the way it holds the sun, and every planet, and every distant star. You are being carried. You have been carried all along. You were carried tonight, without knowing it, all the way around the sun, and a little farther, as the earth swept along its wide, slow orbit while you lay here breathing. You are always being carried. And you can let your hands go loose now, and let your arms grow heavy, and stop holding on to anything at all, because the carrying does not depend on you. It never has. Feel how the drift moves through your whole body as you float there. Feel it begin at the crown of your head, a soft heaviness settling over your scalp, smoothing across your forehead, letting the fine muscles between your brows go loose. Feel it slide down over your closed eyes so that even the small weight of your eyelids feels easy now, resting without effort. Feel it pass down through your face, unclenching your jaw, softening your tongue away from the roof of your mouth, letting your whole face grow slack and untroubled, the face of someone already half asleep. Feel it flow down your neck and pool warm across your shoulders, and feel your shoulders answer by sinking, dropping, giving up the small braced holding they carry all day long. Feel it move down your arms, past your elbows, all the way to your fingertips, until your hands lie open and heavy wherever they rest. Feel it spread across your chest and let your breathing slow, each breath a little deeper and a little farther apart than the last. The rise and fall of it easing like a tide going quiet. Feel it sink into your belly, warm and low, and down through your hips, and into your legs, thighs growing heavy, knees letting go, calves softening, all the way down to your feet, until your feet too are heavy and warm and still. Your whole body is floating now, held from every side, drifting in the expanse that has no floor to press against and no ceiling to reach for. And in that room without up or down, nothing is asking you to hold yourself together. You can come apart softly, layer by layer, into rest. Now let the scale of the place open around you, slowly, gently, and do not brace against it, because bigness out here is not a danger, but a comfort. When you first hear how large the space above and below the sun truly is, some old part of the mind flinches, the way it flinches at the edge of a high cliff. It hears that the room reaches away farther than light can travel in a lifetime, that the nearest other sun is so distant its light takes years to arrive, that the whole flat family of planets is a single grain adrift in a dark so wide it has no measured wall. And the old animal in us wants to grab hold of something, wants a floor, wants an edge, wants to be small in a small, safe place. But turn that flinch over tonight and feel the other side of it, because the other side is peace. To be small in a room that vast is not to be lost. It is to be held so completely, so evenly, from so many directions at once, that nothing can ever tip you or drop you or leave you stranded on a hard edge. The expanse above and below the sun is not an emptiness waiting to swallow you. It is a fullness, gentle and total, wrapping every star and every world and every drifting speck in the same hushed dark, spreading it all out so far apart that nothing ever collides, nothing ever crowds, nothing is ever forced or hurried or pressed. There is room enough out there for everything to simply be, at its own slow pace, in its own quiet place, floating free of every other thing, and yet held by all of them at once through the long faint threads of their gathering. You are a part of that. You are made of it, of atoms forged in the hearts of those very suns, and scattered out across the expanse and gathered up again into you. When you rest in the bigness above and below the sun, you are only resting in the place your own body came from, the wide, soft room that made you and holds you still. Let it be large. Let it be larger than you can imagine. The larger it is, the more completely it holds you, and the safer you are inside it, small and warm and carried, with nothing above and nothing below. Only room, only room, only endless, gentle room. Let us widen the room once more, slowly, and rise up out of the sun's small family into the greater wheel that carries it, the galaxy, because there too we will find an above and a below, and there too we will find them dissolving into the same open welcome. For the sun is not adrift alone. It belongs to a vast, slow gathering of stars, a great spinning pinwheel of hundreds of billions of suns, turning together through the dark in a wheel so wide that the light which crosses it has been traveling since long before there were eyes to catch it. And this greater wheel, like the sun's own little family, is flat. It too is a disk, an enormous spinning platter of stars, thicker at its bright center and thinning toward its edges, but broad and level and turning all one way, like a river of light bent slowly into a ring. The sun rides within this disk, far out toward the quieter edge, going around and around the distant center on a journey so long that a single lap takes longer than you could ever count, longer than the whole history of everything you have ever known. And so the galaxy gives us a new above and a new below to consider. There is the flat plane of the galaxy's disk, the level sheet of stars the sun moves within, and off the top of that sheet there is a direction, up out of the galaxy, and off the bottom of it another direction, down out of the galaxy, into the thin dark that lies above and below the whole slow wheel. This is a grander above and below than the sun's own. It is measured not against the little plate of planets, but against the great plate of 100 billion stars. And yet, when we rise up out of it, and when we sink down out of it, we are going to find, once more, the very same thing waiting on both sides. So lift up now, off the top of the galaxy's great disk, up out of the flat river of stars, and look around you as it falls away below. The stars thin. The bright band of the wheel flattens beneath you into a glowing plate, and then into a pale line, and then into a single soft smudge of light hanging in the dark. The whole galaxy shrunk to a faint luminous coin far below your floating feet. And above you, in the direction you have climbed, there is almost nothing at all, only the deep and gentle emptiness that lies over the galaxy, sprinkled here and there with the faraway smudges of other galaxies, other wheels of stars so distant they are only faint gray thumbprints on the black. It is the quietest place we have yet reached. There is no crowding here, no noise, no press of anything. There is only the vast soft dark, and the galaxy glowing far below like a lamp left on in a distant window, and you, floating high above it all, held in a stillness so complete it feels like the inside of a held breath. And there is no ceiling. Still, always, no ceiling. You could rise from here forever, up out of the galaxy and on toward those faint, far thumbprints of light, and you would never strike a roof, never find a wall, never reach the top of the room, because the room has no top. It only opens, and opens, and opens, and lets you rise into it as gently as smoke rising off a snuffed candle, unhurried, unafraid, and utterly held. And now let yourself sink again, down through the flat wheel of the galaxy, and out the underside of it, down into the below of all those stars, and feel your heart already knowing what you will find, because you have found it twice before tonight, and it has never once betrayed you. Below the galaxy there is the same hushed dark as above it, the same thin scattering of distant galaxies, the same deep, gentle emptiness, the same open room reaching away with no floor to catch you, and no need for any. Down out of the galaxy is exactly like up out of the galaxy. They are the same place wearing two names. And so the great pattern of the whole night reveals itself, the same shape at every size, the same tender truth from the smallest scale to the largest, above your bed and below your bed, above the sun and below the sun, above the galaxy and below the galaxy. At every scale, the same answer, the same twin emptiness, the same seamless expanse with no true up and no true down, holding everything alike from every side at once. It is one room, all the way out. One continuous open darkness with no ceilings dividing it into floors. No attic and no basement. No top story and no bottom. Only one vast level welcoming dark that wraps you and the sun and the galaxy and everything there is in the same soft, even, endless embrace. There is nowhere out there that is truly higher than anywhere else. There is nowhere that is truly lower. There is only the one great room, and you are in it, and it holds you, and it always will. Let us pause on the pull of it all, on the invisible threads that keep everything drifting so gently in that endless room, because this too is a comfort once you feel it rightly. You might wonder, if there is no floor beneath the sun and no ground beneath the planets, why they do not simply drift apart and scatter away into the dark and be lost. And the answer is one of the tenderest things the sky has to teach. Everything is holding everything else. Every mass in that great room, every star and world and speck of dust reaches out with a tender invisible pull toward every other, and is reached toward in return, so that the whole expanse is laced through and through with the faintest threads of belonging. The sun holds its planets not by sitting beneath them like a floor, but by pulling them gently inward from the center of their circles, so that instead of drifting away in a straight line they curve, and come around again, tracing their slow loops forever. And the galaxy holds its billions of suns the same way, each one falling endlessly around the shared center, held not by any floor, but by the gathered pull of all the others together. Nothing out there is bolted down. Nothing is propped up. And yet nothing is truly falling, and nothing is truly lost. Because everything is held, evenly and from every side, by the quiet weight of everything else. It is not a room with a floor. It is a room where everything gently holds everything, so that no floor is needed, so that nothing can drop, because there is nowhere lower for it to drop to, and nothing pulling it there but the tender, even embrace of all its distant kin. You are held that way too, tonight, held by the bed beneath you. Yes, but held also, more faintly, by the whole slow weight of the turning world, and the sun, and the far stars, all of them tugging at you so tenderly and so evenly that you feel it only as rest. Come back for a while to the surface of the sun itself, and let us wander slowly across it, because there is a whole quiet weather up there, above and below, that we have not yet touched, and it is more restful than you might think for a place so full of fire. The sun is not a solid ball with a fixed top and bottom. It is a vast rolling sphere of glowing gas, so hot that it never settles, always churning, always turning over, the way a pot of thick soup turns slowly on a low flame. Deep inside, at its heart, the sun makes its light, patiently and steadily, and that light takes an unimaginably long time to work its way outward to the surface, drifting and bouncing through the dense bright body of the sun for what might be many thousands of years before it finally reaches the top and leaps free into space. And the surface it reaches is not still. It is covered everywhere in slow rising cells, great slow columns of hot gas welling up from below, spreading out across the top, cooling, and sinking back down again, over and over, so that the whole face of the sun is gently boiling, a shifting pattern of bright rising centers and darker sinking edges, like the top of a simmering pot seen from above. But notice, as we drift across it, that the words above and below have gone soft again even here. The gas rises up from within and sinks back down, yes, but up here means only outward, toward space, and down means only inward, toward the center. There is no up in the sky and down toward the ground on the sun. because the sun is a sphere, and every direction outward from its heart is up, and every direction inward is down, no matter which way you face. Stand anywhere on that great rolling surface, and your up points away from the center, out into the dark, and your down points inward, toward the fire at the core. Above is simply out. Below is simply in. And so the sun teaches us, in its own slow-burning language, the very same lesson, that up and down are not fixed places written into the sky, but only directions, only which way you happen to be facing, out toward the room or in toward the center, on the round surface of a thing that has no top and no bottom of its own. Let us follow the sun's light outward now, out past its churning surface, into the faint bright crown that surrounds it, and drift there a while, because it is one of the loveliest and least known regions of all. Above the visible face of the sun, reaching far out into space, there hangs a vast and tenuous halo, a tenuous outer atmosphere so thin and so faint that we can only see it when the moon slides exactly in front of the sun and hides its dazzling face, and then, for a few hushed minutes, this pale crown appears, spreading out from the darkened disk in delicate silver streamers, reaching millions of miles into the surrounding dark. This crown has no sharp edge. It does not stop at a certain height and give way to empty space. Instead, it thins and thins and thins, growing fainter and more diffuse the farther out it reaches, until it blends so gradually into the thin drift of particles between the planets that no one can say precisely where the sun ends and the space between the worlds begins. The sun does not have a surface above which is empty and below which is solid. It has a body that fades outward by soft degrees into a whisper, and that whisper reaches out past all the planets, so that in a real and gentle sense, you are living inside the very outermost atmosphere of the sun, bathed in its faint outward breath, adrift within its farthest reach. There is no clean line above the sun that says, "Here the sun stops. Here the dark begins." There is only a slow softening, a gradual fading, an easing outward from fire to warmth to whisper to dark, with no wall anywhere along the way. And is that not how sleep comes to you too? Not with a sharp line, not with a wall you cross all at once, but with a slow softening, a gradual fading, an easing outward from the bright noise of the day into the warm, dim edges of drowsiness, and then, by degrees so gentle you never catch the moment, into the deep, quiet dark of sleep. You are fading now the way the sun's crown fades, softly, without any edge, without any wall, easing outward into rest. Now let the whole picture grow quiet and slow, and let us think, tenderly, about the direction the sun is traveling, because even that has an above and a below, and even that turns out to hold no threat. The sun does not sit still in the galaxy. It moves, carried along in the great slow turning of the galactic wheel, sweeping through the dark at a speed the mind cannot really hold, and yet so smoothly, in a circle so vast, that from within its family nothing feels to be moving at all. And as it travels, the sun bobs, ever so gently, up and down through the plane of the galaxy, rising a little above the flat sheet of stars, and then sinking a little below it, and then rising again, over spans of time so long they dwarf whole ages of the earth, a slow, slow rocking, up through the disk and down through the disk, like a horse on a carousel easing up and down as the whole ride turns. Right now, in this long, slow age, the sun is drifting gently upward, a little above the midplane of the galaxy, rising by the faintest degree as it sweeps along its great circular road. And in ages far ahead it will crest, and begin to sink again, down toward the plane and through it, and a little below, and then rise once more, rocking softly up and down forever as it circles the distant center. But feel how gentle this is, how unhurried, how utterly without danger. The sun rocks up and down through the galaxy the way a cradle rocks, the way a boat rocks at anchor on a calm harbor, the way your own breath rises and falls as you lie here drifting toward sleep. Up a little, and down a little, and up again, so slow it is barely motion at all. A rocking that takes tens of millions of years to complete a single sway. You are riding that cradle right now. You are on the sun's slow carousel, rising this very age by the faintest imperceptible degree above the great flat wheel of the stars, rocked so tenderly and so slowly that you have never once felt the sway. Let it rock you. Let the sun's long, slow bobbing through the galaxy be the cradle you fall asleep in, up a little and down a little, up and down, forever and forever safe. Let us drift back down then, toward the plane of the sun's own family for a while, and think slowly about the two poles of the whole planetary system, the north and the south of the sun's flat disk, because there is a soft symmetry there worth resting in. Stretch out again, in your mind, the great level plate of the planets, all of them circling the sun the same way, all in nearly the same flat sweep. Straight up off the top of that plate, square to the whole circling family, there is a direction we might call the north of the solar system, and straight down off the bottom, the south. And here is the tender thing. Nothing lives in those directions. There are no planets up there off the top of the disk. There are no planets down there off the bottom. The whole family lies flat, threaded around the sun in its level ring, and the two directions off the faces of that ring are empty, open, clear, reaching away into the general dark of the galaxy with nothing in the way. If you rose off the north face of the solar system and looked back down, you would see the whole flat family spread out below you like a great faint dial, the sun a bright bead at the center, the planets circling out in their soft rings, all turning slowly the same way. A serene and orderly clockwork seen from directly above, and if you sank off the south face and looked back up, you would see the very same dial, the very same circling, only now from beneath, the planets sweeping the other way around as you watch them from the far side. Two views of one flat, turning family, from above and from below, and neither view is the right one, neither is up and neither is down. Only two ways of looking at the same serene slow wheel. There is a deep restfulness in that symmetry, in knowing that the sun's family has no favored side, no top that matters more than its bottom, no proper way up. It simply turns, level and even, and it can be looked at from either face with equal truth, the way a serene pond can be looked at from either shore. Consider, too, and let this be soft and not sharp, what it would mean to travel truly straight up from the sun, off the north pole of its family, and just keep going, and going, and going. This is the kind of thought that can frighten the waking mind, because it reaches toward the word infinite, and the word infinite can feel like a cold and empty thing when you meet it in the daylight. But here, tonight, in the dark, let us meet it as the comfort it truly is. To travel straight up from the sun forever and never reach a wall is not to be lost in a cruel emptiness. It is to be free of every wall there ever was. Think of how it feels, in the best moments, to stand at the edge of the sea and look out at a horizon with nothing on it, no fence, no barrier, no end, only water and sky opening away as far as the eye can reach. That openness does not frighten us then. It eases us. Something in the chest unclenches at the sight of a room with no far wall, a distance with no stopping place, a direction we could follow forever. The space above the sun is that feeling made total and made permanent. It is the open sea horizon in every direction at once, above and below and all around. A room so large that the mind can finally stop bracing for the wall it always half expects, because there is no wall, and there never will be. And there is nothing you could ever collide with, nothing you could ever be trapped against, nothing to hem you in or fence you round. To have no ceiling is to be free of every ceiling. To have no floor is to be free of every hard place you might land. The endlessness above and below the sun is not a void that swallows. It is a freedom that releases, an openness that lets the held breath go. A room so vast that at last there is nothing left to be afraid of, because fear needs edges and corners and closing walls, and out there, softly, tenderly, forever, there are none. And let us speak, while we are this far out and this calm, about the dark itself, the great darkness that fills the room above and below the sun, because I think we misjudge it in the daylight, and the truth of it is kinder than we fear. We are taught, somewhere young, to think of the dark of space as empty, cold, and lonely. A hollow nothing between the bright and busy stars. But drift in it a while tonight and feel it differently. The dark between the stars is not an absence. It is the quiet body of the room itself, the dark velvet in which every bright thing is set, the restful backdrop against which the stars can shine at all. Without the dark, there would be no way to see a single star. It is the darkness that lets the light be seen. The way the black of a jeweler's cloth lets a gem catch fire, the way the hush of a room lets a single low note be heard. And that dark is not cold in the way a winter night is cold, biting and hostile and pressing in. It is only quiet, only still, only vast and even and undisturbed. It does not want anything from you. It does not press upon you or reach for you. It simply holds its stillness, mile upon mile, everywhere at once, a stillness so complete that the faint warmth of a star can travel across it for 1,000 years without ever being ruffled. When you rest in the dark above and below the sun, you are resting in the most peaceful thing there is, a silence with no bottom, a stillness with no edge, a calm so total and so old that it was there before the first star kindled and will be there long after the last one fades, patient, gentle, and entirely at peace. There is nothing in that dark that means you harm. There is nothing in it that even knows how to. It is only rest, made into a place, spread out forever above you and below you, and holding you soft in the middle. Let us come back close again now, close to the warmth, and rest for a while in the thought of what actually flows out from the sun in every direction, above and below alike, because there is a soft, steady breath there that touches even you. The sun is always, gently, breathing outward. From its churning surface it sends a faint, endless stream of tiny particles, a slow wind of light and matter that drifts away from it in every direction at once, up off the top of it, and down off the bottom of it, and out from every side, filling the whole space around it with a thin, warm outward flow. This solar wind, as it is called, blows out past all the planets, past the Earth, past the farthest cold worlds at the family's edge, out and out, until it finally grows so faint and so thin that it fades into the quiet gas between the stars, marking, at its very end, the last soft boundary of the sun's reach, a great rounded bubble of the sun's own breath, with all the planets nestled inside it. And what matters for us tonight is that this breath goes out evenly, above and below, north and south, in every direction the same. The sun does not breathe harder toward its top than toward its bottom. It does not favor up over down. It simply glows outward, evenly and endlessly, filling its whole great bubble with the same faint warm flow, so that whether you drift above its family or below it, you are drifting in the same soft breath, bathed in the same outward warmth, held within the same gentle exhalation that the sun has been breathing out for billions of years without pause. You are inside that breath right now. The earth rides deep within the sun's warm bubble, and the faint outward wind of the sun streams past us always, above and below, unfelt and unceasing. You have been breathing in time with a star tonight, in a manner of speaking, resting inside its long, slow exhalation, and you can let your own breath fall into rhythm with it now, slow and even, out and out, unhurried, unforced. A small warm breath inside a great warm breath, both of them flowing gently outward into the dark. And here is a thought to lay over you like the tenderest blanket of all, as we drift among the planets on their level plate. All of them, every world in the sun's family, is doing exactly what you are doing tonight. Every planet is falling asleep, in a way, and has been falling asleep forever. Because to circle the sun, to trace those slow, soft loops around it endlessly, is to be in a kind of perpetual, effortless letting go. The planets do not work to stay in their orbits. They do not strain, or paddle, or hold themselves up. They simply gave themselves, long ago, to the sun's gentle inward pull, and they have been falling toward it ever since, falling and never arriving, because they are moving sideways just enough that their falling curves into an endless circle, a fall that never lands, a letting go that never ends. Every planet is forever in the act of surrender, forever giving its weight to the sun and being carried around and around in return, and none of them has held itself up for a single moment in all the billions of years they have been turning. Think of that, drifting there. Every world above the sun and below it and all around it is at rest in its motion, surrendered, carried, falling softly forever in a fall that feels like floating. And you are one more world tonight, one more small body giving up its weight, letting go of the day, surrendering to the gentle pull of sleep and being carried around into the dark and out the other side into morning, the way the planets are carried through their long nights and back into the light. You do not have to hold yourself up tonight. Nothing in all the heavens holds itself up. They all let go, and they are all carried, and they are all perfectly safe in the letting go. Let go the way they let go. Fall softly, the way a planet falls, into a circle that will bring you gently round again to the light. Let us rise once more, one last long rising, and take in the whole shape of the thing we have been wandering through all night, the whole great room with no ceiling and no floor, and let it settle over you complete. Picture it now, if the tired mind can still hold a picture, or just let the words move past you if it cannot. There, at the center of your view, the sun, a single warm bead of light, breathing softly outward in every direction. Around it, spread flat on their level plate, the planets, circling slow and even, no top world and no bottom world, only the flat serene wheel of them turning. Off the top of that wheel, open dark reaching away with no ceiling. Off the bottom of that wheel, the same open dark reaching away with no floor. And that whole small family, sun and planets and dark, is itself only a single grain riding within the far greater wheel of the galaxy, the vast flat river of 100 billion suns, turning slow and even around its own distant center, with its own open dark above and its own open dark below, and no true up and no true down anywhere within it either. And that great galaxy is itself only one faint smudge of light among countless others, scattered out through a dark so wide it has no measured edge, every galaxy a wheel, every wheel adrift in the same seamless expanse, above and below dissolving at every scale into the same one open room. It is rooms within rooms within rooms, and yet it is not really rooms at all, because rooms have walls and ceilings and floors, and this has none at any size in any direction. It is one single continuous openness, one seamless dark, holding the sun and the galaxy and every world and every star and you, all together, all at once, evenly, softly from every side, with no top and no bottom, no attic and no cellar, no highest place and no lowest, only the one great level welcoming expanse, reaching away forever in every direction, and cradling everything there is within it like a still sea cradling all its drifting sleeping. Ships. Let us drift down again, slowly, and rest for a long while on one small tender idea, the idea of the horizon, because the horizon is where above and below are born, and where, if you watch closely, they quietly die. When you stand on the ground and look out, there is a line where the earth meets the sky, and everything above that line you call up, and everything below it you call down. And the line itself feels like the most natural thing in the world, the very hinge of the map. But that line is not real. It is not out there in the world at all. It is made entirely by you, by where you happen to be standing, by the roundness of the small world beneath your feet, curving away in every direction until it drops from sight. Walk toward the horizon and it retreats. Climb a hill and it widens and sinks. Rise into the air and it falls away below you and opens into a bowl. The horizon is not a place, it is a relationship, a quiet agreement between you and the curve of the ground, and it moves with you everywhere you go, so that you carry your own horizon with you all your life, a private circle drawn around wherever you stand. And out in space, off the plate of the planets, above and below the sun, there is no ground to curve away, and so there is no horizon at all. There is no line where up begins and down ends, because there is nothing to draw the line. In every direction there is the same open dark, the same scattered stars, the same seamless room, and your eye finds no edge to rest against, no hinge to hang the map on. This is why above and below finally dissolve out there. They were never written into the sky. They were only ever the shadow of a horizon, and the horizon was only ever the shadow of a ground. And when the ground is gone, the horizon is gone, and the up and the down go softly with it, leaving only the open room, even and whole, with no line dividing it anywhere. You can let your own inner horizon dissolve a little too. Tonight, that constant quiet sense of which way is up, that private line you carry through every waking hour, you can let it go soft now. Let it fade the way the horizon fades when you rise into the air, until there is no up to hold yourself toward, and no down to brace against, only the even open dark of sleep, with no line in it anywhere. Think, too, drifting there, of how the sun looks from the far cold worlds at the edge of its family, because there is a gentle lesson in it about how above and below shrink and soften with distance. From the earth, the sun is a great warm coin, the ruler of the sky, so bright it fills the whole day. But travel out, off across the flat plate, past world after world, out to the dim and distant edges of the family, and watch the sun shrink behind you. From the far cold worlds, the sun is no longer a coin, but only a bright star. The brightest star in their black sky, yes, but only a star, a single point of light, no longer able to fill the day, or warm the ground, or push away the dark. And from those distant places, the very idea of the sun having an above and a below becomes almost too small to speak of. When the sun is just a bright point in a vast black sky, what could it possibly mean to ask what is over its head or under its feet? It has no head. It has no feet. It is a point, and a point has no top and no bottom, no up and no down, only a single quiet place in the dark. The farther out you drift, the more the sun becomes exactly that, a single mild point of light among the scattered stars. Indistinguishable, from far enough away, from all the others, just one more faint fire in the great even field, with no more above or below than any of its distant kin. And there is a soft comfort in that shrinking, in watching the sun grow small and modest, and take its quiet place among the countless others, because it means the sun was never truly the center of anything, never truly the top or bottom of any real up or down. It was only close to us, only warm to us, only large in our sky because we happened to be near. Pull back far enough, and it joins the gentle democracy of the stars, one among uncountable others, each a small warm point in the same open dark, none higher and none lower, all of them simply shining, side by side, in the great level room. And let us rest, for a good long while, on the deepest and most tender reframing of all, the one that lies quietly beneath this whole night, which is that having no floor beneath you is not a thing to fear, but the very definition of being held. All your life, on the ground, being held, has meant being caught by a floor, being stopped by something solid, being kept from falling by a hard surface, pushing back against your weight. And so somewhere in you, the thought of no floor sounds like the thought of endless falling, of nothing to catch you, of dropping forever through the dark. But turn it over one more time, softly, and feel how it is exactly the reverse. To fall, you need a floor to fall toward, a down for gravity to pull you into, a bottom waiting somewhere below. Out in the room above and below the sun, there is no such down, no bottom anywhere, no direction that is more below than any other, and so there is nothing for you to fall toward, nowhere lower for you to go, no drop and no landing and no dark bottom rushing up. Without a floor, there can be no fall. The very thing that sounded frightening, the missing floor, is precisely what makes falling impossible. You cannot drop in a room with no down. You can only float, held evenly by the room itself, suspended in the middle of a space that has no lower place to send you. This is the secret at the heart of the whole question. The tender truth the old thinkers uncovered without quite knowing what a comfort it would be. The floorless dark above and below the sun is not the most dangerous place imaginable. It is the safest. It is the one place in all creation where falling has been made impossible, where dropping cannot happen, where every direction is level and even and holds you the same, so that no matter how you turn or drift or let go, you simply stay, floating, cradled, caught by everything and nothing, never rising and never falling, only resting in the endless even hold of the room. Let that be the pillow under your whole body tonight. There is no floor, and so you cannot fall. There is no down, and so there is nowhere to drop. There is only the level dark, holding you evenly, and you are as safe in it as anything has ever been. Let us wander now among the other stars a while, the near neighbors of the sun, and feel how each of them, too, floats in the same room, with no up and no down, because it multiplies the comfort to know the sun is not alone in its floating, scattered through the dark near the sun, at distances so vast that even light takes years to cross between them. There drift other suns, other warm points of fire, each one holding its own small family or its own quiet emptiness, each one turning on its own tilted axis, each one bobbing slowly through the galaxy on its own long carousel ride. And every single one of them floats exactly as the sun floats, with no floor beneath it and no ceiling over it, held by the same even dark, tilted this way and that with no agreement between them about which way is up, each one simply hanging in the room at its own faint angle, shining. Some tilt their poles one way, some another. Some spin fast and some spin slow. But not one of them has a true above or a true below. Not one of them knows which way is up, and not one of them needs to, because the room holds them all the same regardless of how they are turned. Picture them, if you can, all those near suns, floating at their 1,000 different angles through the same vast dark, like a great slow scattering of candle flames drifting in a dark black sea, each one upright to itself and sideways to its neighbor and upside down to another, and all of them perfectly, evenly at peace, because in a room with no up and no down there is no wrong way to float. You are one more flame in that scattering tonight, floating at whatever angle you happen to lie, and it does not matter in the least which way your head is pointed or which way your feet, because the room that holds you has no preference, no correct orientation, no proper way to be. However you are turned, you are held. However you drift, you are level. There is no wrong way to float in a room with no down. Consider, gently, the deep old fear that hides inside questions like ours. The fear of the great nothing, the void, the emptiness. And let us set it down for good tonight, because it has no business following you into sleep. When people first truly grasped that space had no floor and no ceiling, that it reached away endlessly with almost nothing in it, some of them felt a cold dread, a sense of being unbearably small and alone in an unbearably large and empty dark. And that dread is understandable. It is very human, but it rests on a mistake. And the mistake is this: it imagines the emptiness as a kind of hostile presence, a hungry nothing that notices you and threatens you and might swallow you up. But nothing cannot do any of that. Nothing is not a thing at all. The dark above and below the sun does not notice you, cannot reach for you, has no hunger and no will and no capacity to harm, because it is not a creature or a force or an enemy. It is simply the absence of anything that could trouble you. The emptiness of space is the emptiness of a hushed room at night, the emptiness of a serene lake at dawn, the emptiness of a held and peaceful breath. An emptiness that is really just calm, just space, just room to rest. To be small in that vastness is not to be threatened by it. Because it holds no threats, it holds nothing at all but stillness. You are not alone in a hostile void. You are at peace in an enormous calm. The great nothing above and below the sun is the most restful nothing there could ever be, a nothing so complete that there is not even anything in it to disturb your sleep. No sound, no motion, no press, no reaching, only hush upon hush upon hush, spread out forever in every direction, asking nothing, wanting nothing, meaning you no harm and no good, simply being still and letting you be still within it. Lay your fear of the void down here, on the floorless floor of the peaceful dark, and let the great calm nothing hold your small quiet something gently all night long. Come back now to the smallness of your own body, and let us make the largeness we have wandered through into a warmth rather than a weight. You are very small against the room above and below the sun. This is simply true, and there is no use pretending otherwise, and there is no need to. You are one small warm body on the surface of one small world, circling one modest star, adrift near the edge of one wheeling galaxy, in a dark so vast it makes the mind go quiet just to reach toward it. But smallness, tonight, is not a sorrow. Smallness is a kind of tenderness the universe offers you, a permission, a release, because when you are this small against something this large, then nothing you carry is large at all. The worry that felt so heavy today, the thing you could not stop turning over, the ache or the task or the fear, all of it shrinks, softly, in the presence of a room this size, not because it does not matter, but because it is held now in a far larger holding, cradled within an expanse so vast that it has room for every trouble and every triumph alike, and asks nothing of any of them. Your smallness means you do not have to hold the universe up. You never did. The room holds itself, and holds the sun, and holds the galaxy, and holds you, and it has been doing so for longer than the earth has existed, and will go on doing so long after tonight is forgotten, and none of it, not one particle of that great holding, depends on you staying awake to worry about it. You can lay it all down. You can be small, and let the large thing be large, and let it hold you the way it holds everything else, without your help, without your effort, without your watching. Being small in a room this vast is the deepest permission to rest that there is. It says, you are held by something far greater than you, something that needs nothing from you, something that has already been carrying you your whole life without asking. Let it carry you now, small and warm and safe, into sleep. Let us return once more to the old astronomers and their long patient nights, because there is a companionship in them worth resting beside, and because their story is really a story about learning to be unafraid of a sky with no ceiling. Imagine them, those early watchers, standing in the cold long before there were warm rooms and soft beds waiting, wrapped in whatever they had, tilting their heads back hour after hour to follow the slow turning of the stars. They had no instruments at first but their own eyes and their own patience, and a stubborn, quiet wish to understand the shape of the thing above them. And night after night, year after year, generation handing the watch to generation, they charted the wandering of the planets and the turning of the stars and the slow drift of the seasons, filling scrolls and books and tablets with careful marks, most of them never living to see where their patience led. They believed, most of them, in the floor and the ceiling, in the still earth and the domed sky, and they died believing it, and there is no shame in that, because they gave what they could see honestly to those who came after, and it was enough. And slowly, across all those wakeful nights, the picture changed in their hands. The ceiling lifted and lifted until it opened into endless room, and the floor softened and softened until it became just one more world adrift among the rest. They were not afraid, in the end, of what they found. They grew to love it. They found a strange deep peace in the largeness, a peace that many of them wrote about. A sense that to know how vast the room truly was somehow to feel more at home in it, not less. And you are the inheritor of all those patient nights. Every soft, true thing you have heard tonight was won for you by someone lying awake in the cold, watching the sky and refusing to look away. You can rest now, in the peace they worked so long to reach. Without any of the cold or the labor, warm in your bed, letting the finished picture wash over you as a lullaby, while somewhere in the dark, in some sense, all those old patient watchers are watching still, and would be glad to know their long work now helps a stranger fall asleep. Let us drift into the middle of the room, now into the deep between places, the vast stretches of dark that lie between one star and the next, because we have spoken of the stars and the worlds, but not enough of the great faint nothing that lies between them. And it is the largest part of all. If you could stand at some point far out between the sun and its nearest neighbor star, halfway across that immense gulf, you would find yourself in one of the emptiest, stillest, most peaceful places imaginable. There would be no world beneath you and no world above you. There would be stars scattered all around, faint and far, in every direction equally, no thicker overhead than underfoot, no brighter to one side than another. There would be no sound, for sound cannot cross that emptiness. There would be no wind but the faintest whisper of the mingled breath of distant suns. There would be no up and no down, no near and no far except the stars, no floor and no ceiling and no walls, only you, floating, at the still center of a dark that reaches away evenly on every side. And far from being terrible, it would be the most complete rest that has ever existed. Nothing would pull at you strongly, nothing would rush you, nothing would press. You would simply hang there, weightless and even, turning perhaps so slowly you could not feel it, held so softly by the balanced faint pull of everything around you that you would drift for ages without moving from your place. That deep between space is where most of the room is. The stars are only the rare bright specks. The dark quiet between them is the true body of the great expanse, and it is a body made almost entirely of rest, of stillness, of even peaceful nothing spread out beyond all measuring. When you sink toward sleep tonight, sink toward that. Sink toward the deep between places, the hushed middle of the room, where nothing pulls and nothing presses and nothing hurries, where above and below have never once been spoken, where there is only the even dark, holding you soft at the peaceful center of everything. And let us think, tenderly and without any fear, about time out there, about the sheer age and slowness of the room, because there is a deep rest in the slowness of it. Everything above and below the sun moves at a pace so slow that it makes the mind go quiet just to imagine it. The sun takes hundreds of millions of years to circle the galaxy once. The galaxy turns so slowly that in all the time there have been humans on the Earth, it has barely rotated at all, a scarcely noticeable shift of the great wheel. The stars drift so gently that the patterns they make in the sky, the shapes people named long ago, have hardly changed across all of recorded history. Out in the great room, nothing is in a hurry, nothing rushes. The whole vast machinery of it turns at a pace so stately and so slow that from within a single human life it looks almost perfectly still. A stillness that is really only slowness. A calm that is really only the enormous, unhurried patience of very large things moving in very large spaces over very long times. And there is such rest in that. To know that the room above and below the sun has been turning quietly for billions of years, and will go on turning quietly for billions more, all at that same slow, patient pace, is to feel how little any single night matters to it. How small and safe your one night's sleep is within all that vast, unhurried time. The universe is not waiting for you to do anything. It is not rushing toward any deadline. It has all the time there could ever be. and it spends that time slowly, patiently, turning its great slow wheels in the dark, and it invites you tonight to borrow a little of its slowness, to let your own hurry fall away, to move at the pace of the stars for a while, which is to say to be almost perfectly still, and to let the long, slow, patient turning of everything carry you, unhurried, into a sleep as deep and as calm as the deep, calm room itself. Let us drift back down close to the sun's warm face one more time, and rest in a small marvel we passed by too quickly, the marvel of how the sun's own light reaches out equally in every direction, above and below alike, wasting nothing and favoring nothing. The sun pours out its light in a perfect sphere, spreading in all directions at once, up and down and sideways and every way between, an even golden outpouring that treats no direction as special. And only the very thinnest sliver of all that light ever falls on the earth, a tiny fraction caught by our small distant world, while the vast remainder streams out past us, above the plain and below it and all around, out into the open dark, on and on, some of it traveling for millions of years before it finally, faintly, reaches some other far world or fades into the general glow. Think of that as you drift. The light that warms your skin on a summer afternoon is only the smallest scrap of a great even outpouring that goes out in every direction with equal generosity, above and below the same, near and far the same, an endless patient shining that asks for nothing back. The sun does not shine harder toward the earth because we are watching. It does not favor the up over the down or the here over the there. It simply shines evenly in all directions, into every part of the great room at once, and has done so, unwearying, for billions of years, and will do so for billions more. There is something deeply restful in that evenness, that even generosity, that shining out into everything without preference or effort or expectation. It is the opposite of striving. It is a giving that costs nothing to give and asks nothing in return, spreading in every direction with the same calm fullness. You can let your own attention soften into that kind of evenness now, letting it spread out in every direction at once, instead of narrowing and gripping, no longer pointed at any one worry, no longer focused on any single thread of thought, only spreading softly outward in every direction like the sun's even light, filling the whole quiet room of your mind with the same faint even glow. And then, slowly, fading, dimming, easing down toward the dark of sleep. Let us take one more slow turn around the whole idea and rest in the strange soft comfort that the question we began with has no answer at all, and that this is exactly the gift. When you asked, at the start of the night, what is directly above the sun and what is directly below it, you expected, perhaps, that there would be an answer, a fact, a thing to point to, a somewhere that was truly up and a somewhere that was truly down. And instead, we have found, movement by movement, that the question quietly unmakes itself, that there is no true above and no true below, that up and down are only shadows of a ground you left behind, only names you carried up from the world of floors and ceilings, and tried to hang on a sky that has neither. And this could feel like a disappointment, a riddle with no solution, a door that opens onto no room, but feel, instead, how it opens onto every room. The question has no answer, because the answer is larger than any answer could be, because the truth is not a place but an openness, not a somewhere but an everywhere, not a fact to hold but a spaciousness to rest in. There is no above the sun, and so above the sun there is room without end. There is no below the sun, and so below the sun there is room without end. The missing answer is not an emptiness where an answer should be. It is a fullness too large to fit inside an answer, a truth so open and so vast that it will not narrow into a fact, and that refusal to narrow is precisely its kindness, precisely its peace. Some questions are not doors to walk through, but rooms to lie down in. This is one of them. You do not have to solve it. You were never meant to. You are only meant to lie back inside it, in the great open room where above and below dissolve, and let its unanswerable spaciousness hold you, and rest. And let us rest, near the end now, on the tenderest turning of all. The thought that the same seamless room that holds the sun holds you, this very moment, with no more distance between you and it than a breath, because it is easy to think of the great expanse above and below the sun as something far away, out there, beyond the sky, in a place you will never go. But it is not far away at all. It begins just above your roof. It begins just past the thin skin of air that wraps the earth. The very same seamless dark that has no ceiling above the sun. The very same open room that has no floor beneath the galaxy comes right down to the top of your atmosphere and would come all the way to you if only the air were not in the way. You are not separate from that room. You are inside it. You have always been inside it. The earth is not a shelter set apart from the great expanse, but a small warm world adrift within it, and you, lying here, are adrift within it too, held by the same seamless dark that holds every star, cradled by the same floorless, ceilingless expanse that cradles the sun. There is no wall between you and the great room. There is only a thin veil of air, and the soft roof over your bed, and the dark of your closed eyes, and past all of those, reaching away in every direction, with no ceiling and no floor. The one vast open room that holds everything there is, holding you too, right now, exactly as you are, small and warm and drifting toward sleep. You are already in the place we traveled all night to reach. You never left it. You are floating in it now, held by it now, cradled in the same endless even dark that has no above and no below, and it is holding you as tenderly as it holds the sun. Let us drift, softly, into the thought of what it would be to sleep out there, truly, in the room above and below the sun, not as a fear, but as the deepest rest there could be. Imagine, only imagine, that you could lie down in that great even dark, safe and warm and breathing, and simply close your eyes. There would be no light in your face, for you could turn away from the distant sun into the hushed black of the between places. There would be no sound at all, none, the most complete quiet that has ever existed, a silence so total that your own slow breathing would be the only thing to hear. There would be no weight, no pressure of a mattress, no ache of a limb held too long in one position, because there would be no up to press you down against anything, no down to pull you against any surface, only the even floating hold of the room, cradling every part of you at once, evenly, softly, with no point of pressure anywhere. You would not toss or turn, for there would be no reason to, no discomfort to escape, no better position to seek, every position equally weightless, equally held. You would simply hang there in the vast still dark, turning perhaps so slowly you could never feel it, breathing slow and even, held from every side by the gentlest possible embrace, in the quietest place that has ever been, and you would sleep. You would sleep the way nothing on earth can quite sleep, without weight, without pressure, without sound, without any up or down to hold yourself against, floating free and even in the endless calm. Let that be the sleep you sink toward now, in your own bed, under your own soft roof. Let the bed become the even hold of the room. Let the quiet of your dark chamber become the great silence of the between places. Let your slow breath become the only sound in all that vast still dark, and let yourself float there, weightless in your imagining, held from every side, sinking softly into the deepest and most even rest there is. Let us gather gently, one more time before the end, the whole family of things we have watched come loose tonight, and feel the sweetness of how each one softened rather than broke. We watched the child's map come loose, the old up and down of ground and sky, and it did not fail us, it only opened into something wider. We watched the sun's climbing and sinking come loose, and found it was our own turning all along, and we were only being carried softly up into the morning and down into the evening, on the deck of a gentle spinning world. We watched the sun's own poles come loose from any true up or down, and found they were only the ends of a spin, floating at their own faint angle in a room with no preference. We watched the flat plate of the planets reveal an above and a below, and then we rose off the top of it and sank off the bottom, and found the same open welcome waiting on each side. We watched the great galaxy do the same, offer an above and a below, and then dissolve them into one seamless dark. We watched the horizon come loose and drift away, and with it the last hinge that up and down were hung on, and at every step nothing broke, nothing fell, nothing left us stranded or afraid. Every loosening was a softening, every dissolving was an opening. Every place where a wall or a floor or a ceiling might have frightened us turned out, when we drifted up to it, to be no wall at all, only more room, only more open, welcoming dark, only more of the endless even hold that has cradled the sun and the galaxy and you from the very beginning. That is the shape of everything we have found tonight, not a breaking, but a softening. Not a falling, but a floating. Not an emptiness, but an openness. And you can carry that shape down into sleep with you, the shape of things coming softly loose and opening into rest. Letting your own thoughts come loose that way now, one by one. Each one softening rather than breaking. Each one dissolving into the open dark until there is nothing left to hold, and nowhere left to fall, and only the even quiet room holding you as you drift down into it at last. Let us linger a final long moment on the warmth at the center of it all, the sun itself, and let it be a hearth for us before we go, because for all our talk of open, dark, and endless room, there is a fire at the heart of this room, and it has been keeping us warm the whole night through. The sun does not know it is the center of anything, and in truth it is not, but it has been all your life the near warm heart of your particular corner of the great expanse, the fire your world circles, the source of every warm day you have ever felt, every sunrise you have ever watched, every patch of afternoon light you have ever rested in. And it asks nothing of you. It only shines evenly in every direction, above and below and all around, pouring out its warmth into the open room without preference or effort, keeping your small world warm and turning as it has for billions of years and will for billions more. There is a hearth feeling in that, a deep old comfort, the comfort of knowing there is a fire nearby, steady and patient and warm, that will still be burning when you wake. You do not have to tend it. You do not have to watch it. It tends itself, and it will keep burning all through your sleep, keeping your world warm while you rest, so that whatever the dark of the room around it, there is always this one steady warm center, this patient fire, this near soft hearth, holding its warmth for you through the whole long night. Let the thought of it warm you now as you drift, the steady patient fire of the sun, burning quietly at the heart of the great open room, keeping the long dark warm, asking nothing, watching nothing, only shining. So that you can let yourself go fully into sleep, knowing the fire will keep, knowing the warmth will hold, knowing that when the turning world carries you gently round again into the morning, the sun will still be there, exactly where it was, shining softly into the room that has no ceiling and no floor. Let us drift back, before we begin to gather it all in, to the simplest picture of all, the picture of you and the sun as two small warm things floating in one great room, because there is a companionship in that thought worth resting beside. You and the sun are not so different, out here in the open dark. You are both small warm bodies, held by the same seamless expanse, floating with no floor beneath and no ceiling above, carried by the same soft, even hold. The sun is larger, yes, and it burns, and it will go on for billions of years past your longest imagining. But in the great room, in the seamless dark that has no up and no down, you and the sun are the same kind of thing, both of you cradled by the same floorless quiet, both of you turning slowly in the same open expanse, both of you held without effort by the same tender embrace that asks nothing and never lets go. When you look up at the sun, or think of it hanging there warm and patient in the sky, you are looking at a companion in the floating, another small warm thing adrift in the same endless room, keeping its slow, steady place in the dark just as you keep yours. And there is comfort in that companionship, in knowing you are not the only warm thing floating in the great cool dark, that the sun floats too, and the planets float, and the near stars float, and the far galaxies float. All of you together, all of you held, all of you drifting slow and even in the one open room with no ceiling and no floor. You are in good company tonight. Everything there is floats beside you, held as you are held, adrift as you are adrift, and none of it is falling, and none of it is afraid, and all of it is simply resting in the endless, even dark, keeping you company as you sink toward sleep. Let us follow, one last slow thread, the light of a single distant star as it crosses the whole open room to reach your closing eyes, because there is a tenderness in that long journey worth resting on before we gather everything in. Somewhere out in the great dark, above the plain or below it, near or unimaginably far, a star is shining, pouring out its light in every direction the way the sun does, evenly and without effort. And a single faint thread of that light, long ago, set out across the room toward the place where you would one day be. It crossed the vast between places, the deep still dark, where nothing pressed and nothing hurried it. It traveled for years, or for thousands of years, or for longer than the earth has existed, drifting steadily through the open room, with no ceiling and no floor to bend its path. And all that time you were not yet born, and the star shone on, and its light drew nearer. And tonight, if you were to open your eyes and look up through a dark window, some of that ancient light would fall at last into your eye, arriving after its impossibly long and patient journey, a soft, faint message from a warm thing floating far away in the same open room. There is no rush in that light, and there was never any rush. It crossed the whole vast expanse at its own steady pace, in no hurry to arrive, carried evenly through the floorless dark, and it reached you exactly when it reached you, neither early nor late. Only patient and faint and soft. Let your own drift toward sleep be like that light, unhurried, patient, crossing the dark at its own slow, steady pace, in no rush to arrive, carried evenly through the quiet toward the deep rest waiting for you, arriving exactly when it arrives, neither early nor late, only soft and faint and sure. You have all the time there is. The light has all the time there is. The whole open room has all the time there is, and it is spending that time slowly, patiently, carrying every faint thread of light and every small, warm, floating thing toward wherever it is going, in no hurry at all, and carrying you, tonight, just as patiently, toward sleep. Let us rest, once more, on the soft truth that the words we started with, above and below, were only ever borrowed, and that giving them back is not a loss, but a homecoming. All your life you have borrowed up and down from the ground beneath your feet, and they served you well there, and there is no need to be sorry for having used them. Up carried the meaning of away from the floor, and down carried the meaning of toward it, and on the surface of a small round world, those meanings are true and useful and kind. But they were always on loan from the ground, always borrowed from the pull of one particular planet, and when you drift out into the open room, off the plate of the planets, above and below the sun, the ground is no longer there to lend them, and so the words come quietly due, and you give them back, and you find that without them, you are not lost at all. You are freer. You no longer have to keep track of which way is up. You no longer have to hold yourself against a down. You can let the borrowed words go, the way you let go of a walking stick when you step into deep warm water and begin to float, and you find that the water holds you without any need for up or down, evenly, from every side, and that the letting go was only ever a relief. That is what the great room offers, above and below the sun. It offers to take back the borrowed words, gently, and to give you in their place the even hold of the open dark, which needs no up and no down to cradle you, which holds you the same however you turn, which asks you to keep track of nothing at all. Give the words back tonight. Let up and down float away like the last two leaves off a bare branch, and let yourself rest in the even room that needs neither, held softly from every side, with nothing to keep track of, and nothing to hold against, and nowhere to fall, only the deep even quiet, receiving you, exactly as you are. Tonight has been about a question so simple it sounded like nothing, and so deep it turned out to hold the whole shape of the sky. Tonight has been about what is above the sun and what is below it, and about how, the closer we looked, the more the above and the below came softly loose and floated away, until there was nothing left but one open room. Tonight has been about the child's map of ground and sky, and about laying it down at last, and finding underneath it not a fall, but a float, not an emptiness, but an openness, not a floor and a ceiling, but one seamless, welcoming dark. Tonight has been about the flat plate of the planets, and the top of it, and the bottom of it, and the same faint nothing waiting on each side. Tonight has been about the great wheel of the galaxy, and rising up out of it, and sinking down out of it, and finding the same open welcome above and below. Tonight has been about the patient watchers in the cold, who gave their long wakeful nights so that we could lie back, warm and easy, and let the finished sky wash over us as a lullaby. Tonight has been about being carried, always being carried, around the sun and through the galaxy and into the morning, without ever once having to hold ourselves up. Tonight has been about a room with no ceiling and no floor, and about how a room like that cannot let you fall, because there is no down to fall toward, only the even endless hold of the open dark. There is no ceiling above the sun, and so above the sun there is only room. There is no floor below the sun, and so below the sun there is only room. There is no ceiling above you, and no floor below you, and so around you there is only room, only the same open welcoming dark, holding you soft. You are held above and held below and held all around, held above and held below and held all around, held above and held below and held all around, evenly, softly, from every side at once, with nothing pressing and nothing pulling and nowhere to fall. None of this needs anything from you tonight. You do not need to remember it. You do not need to understand it. You do not need to hold on to a single word of it, or keep the science in order, or reach any conclusion, or stay awake to the end. The room holds itself, and the sun keeps its warmth, and the great slow wheels keep their patient turning, whether you are awake or asleep, and none of it, not one part of it, asks you to do anything at all but rest. There is another tranquil exploration waiting on the screen, ready for you. Another slow wander through the calm dark, whenever you would like it. You do not need to reach for it or choose it or do anything at all. If you simply drift, it will begin on its own, softly, all by itself. Another low voice in the dark to carry you further into rest. So let it begin on its own, and let it carry you on if you are still here to be carried. And if you are already asleep, then it was only ever the dark keeping you company. And that is enough. And if some small part of you is still awake and wondering, here is a soft question to carry down into sleep. Nothing you must answer. Only something to drift on, if there is no above and no below out there among the stars. Which way do you imagine yourself floating tonight? And does it feel, now, like it matters at all which way that is? Let the question dissolve as it goes, the way everything dissolves out there, into the open dark. And now let everything grow soft and dim and far away. Let the sun's warm point fade. Let the flat plate of the planets fade. Let the great wheel of the galaxy fade, and the deep between places, and the patient watchers in the cold, and the whole open room with no ceiling and no floor, let all of it fade, softly, into the dark behind your closed eyes. Let your breath grow slow and even and far apart. Let your body grow heavy and warm and still, held from every side, floating in the even dark, with no up to reach for and no down to fall toward, only the endless open hold of rest. You are carried, you are held. You are floating in a room with no floor and no ceiling, and it is holding you as tenderly as it holds the sun, and there is nowhere to fall, and there is nothing to fear, and there is nothing left to do. Drift now, drift down into the open dark, into the seamless room, into the deep even quiet, where above and below have gone forever, and there is only rest. Sleep well.